Hello students, looking at current affairs for 1st February, the news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 19. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, unemployment data based on draft report. So the draft report of National Sample Survey Office has come out in the media, and the government is defending that this is just a draft report. This has not been approved by the government. So this actual report actually says that unemployment in 2017-18 in the country is at a 45-year high. So Niti Aayog is defending, saying that this is just a draft report, but Business Standard media actually brought out this report citing NSSO's periodic labor force survey, and which is yet to be released, but it says that employment rate is at 6.1% in 2017-18, which takes it to a 45-year high. The last only year of comparable data when the unemployment rate was higher was in 1972-73, when it was higher than 6.1%. In 2011-12, the unemployment rate in the country was at 2.2%. This is the NSSO report. This report, of course, is earlier to has come in news. It is under controversy because we had discussed how on 28th Jan 2019, two external members of National Statistics Commission had resigned, citing a major reason for their resign that the government is delaying releasing the report on unemployment. So this is linked to that too. So unemployment in the report actually shows higher unemployment in urban India than in rural India. In urban India it is 7.8% and in rural India 5.3%. Unemployment amongst rural males is at 4% and rural females is at 13.6%. While at the urban scale, among males it is 18.7% and 27.2% among females. Also, another shocking thing regarding this report is regarding labor force participation rate. So, labor force participation rate, this is the measure of people working or looking for jobs. So, this is how much is the participation in the labor force out of the entire population. So, labor force participation rate in 2011-12 was at 39.5%, while this has come to 36.9%. So out of the entire population, the part of the population which is the part of the labor force has reduced in 2017-18. So unemployment is rising and labor force participation rate is reducing. This is a serious cause of concern. So experts explain, saying that probably this is showing that people who are looking for jobs have given up on seeking job also. So those who are working plus those who are looking for job are added. So if it's declining, means number of people working. If they are constant, the number of people looking for jobs has reduced. So they have given up on finding jobs too now. So that is the situation. So this is the entire data which has come forth, you can see. Then next is government revises up GDP growth to 7.2%. So the government has revised its GDP growth forecast for 2017-18 to 7.2%. So its earlier estimate was 6.7%. So now it says it is 7.2%. For the year before that, 2016-17 too, the actual growth rate has been revised from 7.1% to 8.2%. So the revisions have been made by Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation in its first reviewed estimates. So this has been criticized by economists who say that the numbers do not match with the ground realities. So especially the data regarding demonetization year. So demonetization year is 2016-17, which goes from April 2016 to March 2017, and November 2016 was the time of demonetization. So this is the demonetization year. So during this period, the growth rate has been revised upwards from 7.1 to 8.2%. So this is based on strong growth in sectors that were widely agreed to be badly hit by demonetization exercise. So this has been questioned. Even informal sector was highly affected by demonetization. So this is being questioned by experts now. Even in 2017-18 too, the government's explanation is that there is upward revision of growth now because of two sectors, that is mining and quarrying sector and the public administration sector doing well. So these two sectors have data compiled by the government itself. So an upward revision and such huge revision is not explainable. So that is what the analysts say about this upward revision in data. So this is the earlier data which was there. You can see of 2016-17 it was 7.1%, and this is the advanced estimate 6.5, which was made to 6.7% for 2017-18. So this 7.1 and 6.7 has been revised to 8.2 and 7.2 respectively. Then next is several Indians held across US on visa fraud charges. So several people, overwhelming majority of whom are highly likely to be Indian citizens or of Indian origin, have been arrested across cities in USA on student visa fraud charges. So most of these individuals are also said to be of Telugu origin. So it's actually 8 educational agents who were allegedly running a racket, and an unspecified number of Indian students who have been detained by the Department of Homeland Security in this student visa fraud case. So this visa fraud occurs, it was actually a sting operation which was involving Homeland Security investigation agents. So there were these agents who were posing as owners and employees of a university, a fake university, University of Farmington. So this was a university faked up by the officers themselves. So this was a sting operation to see how students get into this trap, and they knew that this is a fake university, still they got into it. So just to get into USA. So students paid to enroll in this university, and they were in an approved program. They were making normal progress towards getting the degree, but they all knew that this is a university with no faculty, no classes. So students were aware of this, and this was the sting operation conducted, on the basis of which arrests have been made. Even in 2016, officials had busted a similar scheme. That how such fake universities, that earlier university in 2016 which was in news, is University of Northern New Jersey. So such universities, fake universities, then provide visas to these students, and the students enter into USA. So this is what has come up in news again now, a similar incident. So actually they pay to stay in the university, so they maintain their student visa F1 status and obtain work permits, and then they get their hold into USA. So this is the fraud which is done, student visa fraud. Then next is Enforcement Directorate conducts searches in Uttar Pradesh memorial scam. So Enforcement Directorate has conducted searches in connection with the Smarak memorial scam. So this is a scam during the tenure of BSP, Bahujan Samaj Party Chief Mayawati, her tenure as the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, that is between 2007 and 2011. So this money laundering case has been registered, and investigation is going on. So FIR has been registered by the Uttar Pradesh State Vigilance Department. So this is an FIR of 2014. So money laundering investigation is going on in this. It is alleged that there was a loss of more than 111 crore to the government exchequer and unlawful gains to the accused public servants and private individuals. So this number of statues were built during the tenure of Mayawati as the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. So it is alleged there were financial irregularities in the procurement of material for the construction of these memorials in Noida and Lucknow. So there are memorials, statues and parks which were built at the cost of over 2,600 crore rupees. Uttar Pradesh Lok Ayukta also had earlier prepared a report which identified several irregularities in the execution of this Smarak project. So this is there. Also, you should know that in Uttar Pradesh earlier, a few days back in January 2019 itself, we had seen how Enforcement Directorate had raided several locations in a money laundering case booked to investigate illegal mining in Uttar Pradesh, and this was a case linked to former Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Akhilesh Yadav of Samajwadi Party. So here money laundering probe against the former Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav and the former Chief Minister before that, Mayawati, has been initiated by the present administration. So this is regarding the statues being built. You can see the details are provided here. So here you can see, though I could not get a clearer image, but it says BSP leader Mayawati erected dozens of statues of herself, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and other Dalit icons at parks across Uttar Pradesh during her tenure as Chief Minister from 2007 to 2012. So you can see thousands of crores were spent here. We had the Vallabhbhai Patel Statue of Unity, which was built. It's called the world's tallest statue, built at a cost of 3,000 crore rupees. And then we have the Shivaji Memorial, which is proposed. It's an under construction memorial on a man-made island off the coast of Mumbai. So this is also a huge cost, 2,800 crores cost, which will be incurred for this statue memorial. So this is there. Then next is IF chief flags delays in manufacture of equipment. So this is Indian Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal B.S. Dhanwa. So he has said that Indian Air Force has not shifted any goalposts. It is not changing its demands. It is fully committed to indigenization as such too. But then it is said that there are delays in domestic development and manufacture of defense equipments. So he is saying that IF should not be blamed. The agencies, and especially the PSU HAL is highlighted, is taking incredibly long time to develop these armaments, and technology is becoming obsolete. So he says, I as the service chief can make concessions to Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Will the enemy make concessions to me when I go to meet the enemy? Is the question he is raising. Also he says that in combat there is no silver medal. Either you win or you lose. So coming second will not help in a war. It's actually loss. So that's what he's highlighting. So in the back there have been recent reports that IF has been changing parameters for the indigenous light combat aircraft LCA Tejas, so which is being built by HAL. So this is resulting in delay in development of Tejas. So Indian Air Force Chief, Air Chief Marshal Dhanwa says that the HAL needs to provide the aircraft as early as possible. Delays are causing technology to become obsolete. So he says that there is a requirement of crucial combination. There is a crucial contribution by the Indian Air Force to the success of indigenization. So that is at the sacrifice of IF's pilots too. So testing these aircrafts, whether they are battle-worthy standard or not, it has resulted in loss of around 17 pilots and engineers in air accidents during testing and evolution of various indigenous aircrafts like Marut, Kiran, Ajit, Saras, even early warning prototype aircraft. So he's highlighting how indigenization is understood and appreciated, but delays are not acceptable. He says investment in air power is an expensive proposition, and he also appreciates investment being made, the Rafale jet being procured, and also S-400 air defense system which has been procured. So these are high-end fighters which are going to assist the Indian Air Force. But he highlights that how the backlog will HAL due to long overhaul cycle and delays in upgradation is taking a toll now. So he says it's approximately equal to 1 squadron of Jaguars, nearly 2 squadrons of Sukhoi 30 Mk1 and 1 squadron of Mirage 2000 jets. So that is the backlog which it has caused. HAL taking so much time for upgradation and providing the aircraft. So this is the detail given here. You can see the cost proposition too. So investment in air power is expensive. So you can see how what is the cost of each Sukhoi 30 Mk1, MKI, and also each light combat aircraft. Its cost is shown here. Tejas cost. The budget expense of Indian Air Force is shown. The total salary bill, capital expenditure which the Indian Air Force has to make, revenue expenditure for fuel and maintenance. So that is detailed out here. And high ownership costs. So Sukhoi 30 MKI have been bought as replacement to MiG-21. Then manning cost of Sukhoi 30 squadron is nearly twice as of MiG-21 squadron. So that is a huge cost here again. That is shown here. Then next is BL chosen to fortify naval air stations. So Bharat Electronics Limited has been chosen for establishment of an upgraded naval airfield integrated security system. So this is a rupees 700 crore contract which has been won by Bharat Electronics Limited. So it will strengthen the perimeter security of air stations, so of the Navy. So this is after the Pathankot Air Force Station attack which took place in 2016. The terrorist attack has resulted in the requirement of an integrated security system being required, and that is why this security of naval airfields has been sought through this project. So it will be implemented at 6 major air stations. So measures forming part of this project include anti-climbing fence, drone detection intrusion system, CCTV networks, and even under-vehicle surveillance. This has been initiated steps. So this is regarding the Pathankot attack of 2016 too. So here lies Pathankot, as you can see. So heavily armed terrorist attack took place at the Indian Air Force base in Pathankot. 3 security personnel were killed along with 4 attackers. Then next is Centre moves High Court against CIC order on army clash. So Central Information Commission has asked the central government to disclose the pre-trial advice which was given by the Army's Judge Advocate General branch in connection with the 2012 clash between soldiers of the Ladakh-based 226 Field Regiment and their superiors. So this 2012 clash within the soldiers which took place on this, Central Information Commission has asked the government to disclose the information which was sought. So one of the soldiers who was charged in this case has sought this information, and government is asked to give this information by the Central Information Commission. But then Centre has moved the Delhi High Court against this order of Central Information Commission. So Ministry of Defence says that this incident took place in 2012 at Leh. The soldiers had actually heard a rumour that one of them had died after being badly beaten by 3 officers for allegedly molesting an officer's wife. And these 100-odd soldiers, because of this rumour or truth, maybe they allegedly ransacked the officers' mess of the unit, injured several of their senior officers, misbehaved with their wives, and engaged in other unruly behaviour. So in this case, you can see the person who is seeking the information, the RTI applicant, is Gunner Bikramjit Singh. And Mr. Singh was dismissed from service in 2015 after summary general court martial for his participation in this mutiny. So he is behind bars. He is serving a prison term of 10 years as such as punishment, and he is seeking this information. So in January 2017, Central Information Commission directed the Ministry of Defence to provide the information that what was the advice given by the Army's Judge Advocate General in this case, pre-trial advice. But government is not giving the information, it's approaching the courts. Then next is Sardha Ponzai scam. CBI questions Mamta aide. So CBI has questioned Manik Majumdar, who is a close aide of Mamta Banerjee, West Bengal Chief Minister. So this is with respect to the Sardha Ponzai scam. So you should understand basically what is a Ponzai scam. So these Ponzai scam owners, Ponzai firm owners, it is said they purchased Ms. Mamta Banerjee's paintings at high prices. So this link has been investigated by CBI now. So this is another Chief Minister, the present Chief Minister of West Bengal. So CBI is investigating this case. You should know basically about Ponzai scheme. So what is this Ponzai scheme? So it's an investment scheme, but it is not a scheme in the sense that people will invest and that investment is put in a particular venture and the profits which would come through would be distributed amongst the investors. So that's generally how an investment works. So whatever money is collected, it is put in for some profitable purpose and the profits are shared. But what this Ponzai scheme does is that it is an investment scheme. People would come and invest their money into the scheme, but this money which they will give, it gives very lucrative offers. Like, they say in a month your money will become double. You give 100 rupees, you will get 200 rupees. So, people would put in 100 rupees and next month they would be paid back 200 rupees. Again, they would put in some money, they would be paid back. So, since it is giving good returns, people would want to put in more and more of their money. So that's how it works. So, and by word of mouth, more people come in and invest. So it lures new investors by offering unusually high payouts. So that's the trap actually. If it's too good to be true, then it usually is a Ponzi scam. So you should understand that. So, and what does the Ponzi scam owner, what does he do with all this money which he has gathered? He does not invest it and bring some profit, but he uses the same money to pay old investors. So, the one who has to be paid 200 instead of the 100 rupees, he is being paid through this money which has accumulated. So they keep on paying and keep on getting more and more money, and when the scheme becomes too big, then it runs away with the entire money. The owner runs away and people then cry for it. So the scheme collapses finally and everyone loses their money when it becomes difficult to lure new investors. This is the Ponzi scheme. It has been named after Charles Ponzi, who duped thousands of Americans into investing in postage stamp scheme in 1920. So that was a Ponzi scheme. Then next is another judge exits case on CBI chief. So now it is Justice N.V. Ramana of the Supreme Court who has recused himself from hearing a petition challenging government's appointment of M. Nageshwar Rao as interim CBI director. So we have seen how Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, he was the first to recuse himself from hearing this petition filed by an NGO Common Cause and activist Anjali Bharadwaj. So he said he is recusing himself because CBI appointment as such takes place by a 3-member body in which the Chief Justice of India is also a member, apart from the Prime Minister and the leader of single largest party in opposition. So, so this is the reason why the CJI recused himself. He was going to be part of the body. So it is the third member as such, Prime Minister, opposition leader, and third member, the Chief Justice of India, can send his nominee to another judge, which is nominated by the Chief Justice of India of the Supreme Court. So so Justice Ranjan Gogoi said that he is going to be part of the 3-member committee which is going to decide on new CBI director. So since he is linked with that, he is accusing himself from the case. Then the case came up for a hearing with the next judge. The next in seniority judge is Justice Sikri. Justice Sikri also recused himself from the case when the advocate for the NGO and Anjali Bhardwaj, the advocate highlighted how the Supreme Court is delaying the matter. So why Justice Sikri also is recusing means the hearing of the case is again being delayed. So Justice Sikri says that he could not have recused himself before the case came before him. So he had decided to recuse himself from the case because he was the judge who was part of the 3-member committee, because he was nominated by CJI then, the 3-member committee which decided to remove the CBI director Alok Verma. So that is why he recused himself from the case. So the case came up for hearing with another bench. Now this bench has Justice Ramanna, who is in line of seniority to be the Chief Justice of India, who is hearing the case, and he has also recused himself from hearing this petition. So his reason is personal reason. He says that he is from the same state as Mr. M. Nageshwar Rao, and he had attended the wedding ceremony of Mr. Rao's daughter. So since he is linked with the person mentioned in the case, so that is why he is also recusing himself from the case. So with this recusal, the petition will be returned to the CJI, who will now have to allocate the case to another bench. Then next is Stop MPs Meet on Kashmir. India tells UK. So India has registered its protest with the British government about an upcoming meeting on Kashmir at British Parliament. So House of Commons meeting is going to take place on 4th February, which is of all-party parliamentary group on Pakistan. So this is a group that includes Conservative and Labour Party MPs. So this is a meeting on Kashmir issue will be picked up. So that is why Indian government says that Britain should not participate in such groupings and should not have such groupings and such talks, because Kashmir is an internal matter of India. Also, Pakistan Foreign Minister Shah Mohammad Qureshi is on a visit to London. So India is warning, India is hoping that Britain would not give him any official welcome. So the British High Commission has clarified that visit by Mr. Qureshi was a private one. So this is there. So UK has been asked to stop anti-India, support being given to any anti-India activity. So earlier it was also with respect to a pro-Khalistan rally. So India had requested to cancel this pro-Khalistan rally in London in August 2018, but the British government had turned down this request of India. And now it is the British parliamentary group which is going to discuss the Kashmir issue in a meeting. So this is there. So this is regarding how it is being clarified that Mr. Qureshi, the Pakistan Foreign Minister, is on a private visit to UK. The next is frozen Arctic winds blow over North America. So there are record low temperatures across much of US Midwest and parts of US's Northeast. So at least 12 people have been killed by these extreme weather conditions. So why these extreme weather events have hit North America has been explained here. You can see. So how many people are affected is detailed out here. You can see flights cancelled or called off are detailed. So temperatures you can see have gone very low, 20 to 40 degree Fahrenheit below average. So these were coldest days in 20 years in various places in America. So it is said that this is the reason, you can see. So jet stream is pushed south. So this jet stream is basically a meandering river of westerly winds. So jet streams are rivers, like rivers who meander. Meandering river is the shape of a river as you have the curves and bends which it takes. So similarly, meandering river of winds. It's not water; it's winds up in the sky. So it's about 11 km above the Earth's surface. So these meandering rivers of westerly winds are called jet streams. So you see there are jet streams which are being pushed south. So the polar vortex that has developed here. So at the North Pole you can see. So this vortex is actually a band of wind around the North Pole. So this vortex actually keeps the cold air locked around the Arctic. So that's why extreme weather conditions take place, and jet stream, takes it down. So here you can see what has caused this polar vortex is also discussed. So this is, it exists because of large temperature difference between the Arctic and the warmer inhabited areas farther south. So because of large temperature difference, a vortex develops. So, how is it linked to global warming is also explained. So the global temperatures have risen quite significantly, and the Arctic has warmed over twice the average. So the temperature difference has been high between North Pole and regions like North America. So since the temperature difference reduces, the energy generated by the jet stream travels upwards and disrupts the solar vortex, causing it to split. So this split has taken place. One vortex is said to be over North America, another vortex over Europe. So it's one is over North America, one over Eurasia. So this one of these two child vortices has visited North America, causing these record temperatures. So because of global warming, temperature difference reducing, this is what is happening. Then next is vote seeks EU recognition for Guaido. So this is European Parliament who has voted to recognize Venezuela's opposition leader and acting president Juan Guaido as legitimate, and it has urged EU member and its members to follow suit. So already we have seen USA, Canada, Brazil are backing the opposition leader who has declared himself as the president of Venezuela, and the present president Nicolas Maduro is being forced and pressurized to step down. So there is international pressure growing now, and he claims that he has support of the military, and military has also supported Nicolas Maduro. We have already discussed about Venezuela, how the situation in Venezuela has already been in a mess. The economic situation was a mess. Inflation was in millions of percentage, and then the money had completely lost its value. The people have been migrating fleeing the country as such too. And we are seeing, because of the oil prices falling, because Venezuela is a member of OPEC too, and it's an oil economy basically. So all its social schemes were dependent on money from oil, sale of oil. But since the international prices fell, the schemes continued, and the government went into a spiral of debt, and the money lost its value. So economic situation is in a mess, and now we are seeing the political scenario not looking any better. So this is the case here. So European Parliament has now recognized Puschist leader Guaido as Venezuelan interim president. So Puschist is someone who himself declares himself as the government, as against the government in power. Then next is Center firm on FDI rules deadline. So government has clarified that it's not going to extend the deadline for implementation of new rules governing FDI in e-commerce. So these rules were to come into effect from 1st Feb 2019, and they will come into effect from today. So these new rules ban any e-commerce firm that has any stake owned by an e-commerce company from selling on the platform run by that e-commerce company. Means the e-commerce firms, FDI is allowed in the country. 100% FDI is allowed under automatic route, but only in marketplace model, not in inventory model. So they cannot have any stake in any company, and that company is selling it on their platform. So they cannot be sellers themselves. They can only provide a platform, a market for the sellers. So that's how it is supposed to be. But we see that companies, though that rules were already there, the clarification has come in now. So now the companies, e-commerce platforms have been clearly stated they cannot use any company to sell their products. So they cannot have such monopoly. Also, if any company is selling 25% of more of its purchase on an e-commerce group firm, then it will not be allowed. It cannot be more than 25% of its purchases. So that is also there. So this is the detail regarding FDI in e-commerce. So 100% FDI in e-commerce was first announced in year 2000. Then in 2016, clarification came which defined marketplace as a platform where buyers meet sellers using technology. So marketplace model was clearly stated that it cannot influence discounts or offers. So this was already there, clarified in 2016. No seller can account for more than 25% of a marketplace's sale. So now into December 2018, it has been clearly stated that marketplaces cannot sell products of companies in which they have shareholdings. and e-commerce companies cannot enter into pacts for exclusive sale of products. So this is a further clarification which has come. The next is RBI lifts curbs on 3 public sector banks. So RBI has decided to allow 3 public sector banks, Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra and Oriental Bank of Commerce, to exit the prompt corrective action framework because capital infusion has come from the government into these banks, public sector banks, and their net non-performing asset ratio has declined. So prompt corrective action framework as such has these parameters. If the banks do not adhere to these parameters, if they breach any of the any of the marks, then they are put under this prompt corrective action, in which they have to make higher provisioning. So for every non-performing asset, for the non-performing assets which they have to make higher allocation. Provisioning is basically money which has to be kept aside by the bank for a particular non-performing asset, because they know this will not be coming forth now. So this is there. So the return of assets is also an indicator which is used. So the bank RBI says that though return of assets indicator is still in the negative, it continues to be in the negative, but capital adequacy indicator is good. So this is what RBI justifies and clarifies, saying that the PCA framework, prompt corrective action framework, is triggered when bank breaches one of the 3 risk thresholds, and one of them is regarding NPAs. So if they cross 6% of net NPAs, their net NPAs become 6% or more, then they are put under prompt corrective action framework, and they have to make significantly higher provisioning, as we just discussed, money kept aside for these NPAs. So it is said that for Bank of Maharashtra, for Bank of India, you can see it is said that a net NPA ratio during its third quarter was 10.29% a year ago, has come in the present third quarter to 5.87%. So this is because of capital infusion from banks. So in a year it has brought down its NPA and has come out of the provision. So capital infusion by government is a one-time exercise. So the bank should be able to sustain itself at that scale there. And then second is Bank of Maharashtra. Again, its net NPA ratio has been brought down from 12.17% to 5.91%. So it has also been possible because of capital infusion by government. But both the banks have reported heavy losses in the third quarter, though net NPAs have come down. So it was the government's insistence that banks, public sector banks, should be brought out of the prompt corrective action framework, and now this has been done by the RBI presently. The former RBI governor, we have seen Urjit Patel, he resigned, refusing to give in to the government pressures. The third bank which has been brought out from the prompt corrective action framework is Oriental Bank of Commerce. So Oriental Bank of Commerce has made a 144 crore net profit in the third quarter, but its net NPA ratio is 7.15%, which is above the 6% threshold. So though the net NPA is 7.15%, RBI has removed it from the prompt corrective action framework, saying that as per the published results, government has since infused sufficient capital. So that is why, though the NPA ratio still is 7.15%, since this step has been taken, infusion of capital has happened, the NPA is bound to come low. So before it comes low, the RBI has decided to remove it from prompt corrective action framework. So this is the detail regarding PCA matrix 2, the risk thresholds, the various indicators and risk thresholds 1, 2 and 3. As the higher risk threshold is breached, the more restrictions are imposed on banks. So both public sector and private sector banks can be put under prompt corrective action, but many public sector banks were under this. So that was a concern for government. So this is the gist of these risk thresholds and the corrective actions detailed here. The corrective actions are detailed under each of the 3. The next is GST collection crosses 1 lakh crore in January. So the government has said that the GST collection crossed rupees 1 lakh crore mark in January 2019. So just on the last day of 31st January, this detail has come forth. It says that for the exact figure will come up later, but on 1st February, as we know, the interim budget has been announced. So the government has made this announcement that GST collection has breached the 1 lakh crore mark for the month of January. So this will be the third month in the financial year when the 1 lakh crore mark has been breached. So that is a positive development. So it is said despite various tax relief measures implemented by GST Council to lower the tax burden on consumers, GST collection has increased as per the data for Jan 2019. So this is data from April till December. Jan data is still not available. So you can see it was in April and in October when the 1 lakh crore mark was exceeded. So this low GST collection has been a cause of concern for government actually. The next is core sector growth slowest in 18 months. So there are these 8 core sectors in Index of Industrial Production. They called 8 core infrastructure sectors. You should know these sectors. That is coal, crude oil, natural gas, refinery products, fertilizers, steel, cement and electricity. So the 8 core sectors grew at their slowest pace in 18 months at 2.6% in December 2018. And this is basically due to fall in output of crude oil, refinery products and fertilizers. So this is the December 2018 data. Last year in December 2017 it was at 3.8%. So this is 8 core sectors growth over the year shown here. And these are the 8 core sectors listed for December 2, the growth rate. Then next is central banks on gold buying spree in 2018. So gold prices have gone high. This was in news, and one of the reasons, significant reasons for this being central banks buying gold. So domestic prices of gold as such have been high and volatile. So there is a marginal dip in demand for gold in India because of high prices in 2018. But central banks across the globe are buying gold. So it has been at the highest level since 1971 and second highest annual purchase ever recorded. So World Gold Council says that central banks have bought 651.5 tons of gold in 2018, which is 74% higher than 2017 and second highest yearly total on record. So the purchases jumped to the highest level since 1971 when the US dollar convertibility into gold had ended. So here you can see central banks are now turning to gold. So this surge is because of various reasons like slowdown in global growth, heightening geopolitical tensions, financial market volatility. So these are resulting in global gold demand rising. So it is up 4%. Not just with central banks but overall too. In 2018 gold demand reached 4,345.1 tons. So this is the major central bank buyers so far in 2018 shown. Russia, Turkey, Kazakhstan, Hungary, even India have been major gold buyers. And this is regarding gold. So maximum gold you can see. It is said that 20 countries and institutions together hold 88% of world gold reserves. This is 2016 data. So USA has a major chunk. You can see 24.79% of gold. India has 1.7% of gold, and you can see the further details also given here percentage wise. IMF has 8.58% of gold. Then next, other countries, European countries also have a high percentage of gold, like Germany 10.3%, France 7.42%, Italy 7.47% gold. And then comes India and other countries. China also has 5.51% gold. Then next is celestial billboards spark debate on who owns the sky. So StartRocket is actually a Russian startup company which is aiming to put billboards, advertisement boards in space. So it plans to turn hundreds of tiny satellites into massive display visible from Earth. So these tiny satellites, around 200 tiny satellites known as CubeSats, would be placed at an altitude of 500 km in the lower Earth orbit by 2021, and these satellites would be equipped with sun reflecting sail which would fly close together, so it would look like pixels of a giant screen that could be switched on and off. So short words, logos can be displayed. So this is being planned by a Russian startup. So we have seen how space has been commercialized too. Plans of space hotels are there, asteroid mining are there, and now advertising in space. So this initiative has actually angered astronomers and raises questions about need to better regulate who owns the sky and what is in there. So this is in news. Also, it is said that earlier in March 2018, a US-New Zealand rocket propulsion company, Rocket Lab, had launched a shiny disco ball called Humanity Star into orbit. So it had remained visible to the human eye for months. So now this has been proposed. So here you can see the detail of this START rocket project is shown. The sample is shown how it would look in sky. And this is what a CubeSat is. These are nano satellites, tiny satellites of around 1 to 3 kgs. And this is the Humanity Star. So this Humanity Star actually was a highly reflective satellite. It blinks bright across the night sky. So there were around 75 highly reflective panels over it. So it was a geodesic sphere here as shown. Then next is the last news. Giant cavity in Antarctic glacier signals rapid decay. So NASA scientists have discovered a gigantic cavity almost 300 meters tall, growing at the bottom of Thwaites Glacier in West Antarctica, the South Pole. So this is indicating a rapid decay of the ice sheet and acceleration in global sea levels due to climate change. So Antarctic glaciers, undersides, observation has been possible now. Earlier it was not understood. It is NASA's Operation Ice Bridge. So there was this ice penetrating radar of NASA which has revealed this cavity. So it's an airborne campaign. It began in 2010 to study connections between polar regions and global climate. So it shows that there is a huge cavity big enough to contain 14 billion tons of ice. So this cavity has been detected now. So of course sea levels are going to rise much more then. So it shows that most of this ice has melted over the last 3 years. This cavity has been generated below Thwaites Glacier. So glacier is a great river of ice actually that flows to the sea. So from below, warmer ocean currents are melting it. And this shows the entire detail of ice loss in Antarctica in the last 20 years. So here you can see around 5 regions are shown. Wilkins ice shelf here, and then Pine Island here. Prince Gustav ice shelf at number 3 here. Number 4 is the Thwaites Glacier which we are talking about. And number 5 is Larsen A ice shelf here. Larsen A and Larsen B ice shelf. These are the ice loss in Antarctica. And this is regarding Operation Ice Bridge of NASA. It has detected below the glacier, how it has detected that ice below is melting. So these are the news items. Thank you.